everyone, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Ro and I'm an illustrator, and yeah, all the footage for this video is actually from part of December and January when I went back home for the holidays. So I live in Canada, but I'm from the UK. And as you might be able to tell, I was lucky enough to be able to go home and spend time with friends and family, and I took, lots of really nice footage when I was back that I'm excited to share today. I am a bit late getting it out because when I started to edit, I actually felt a bit inspired to work in my sketchbook, which for me is pretty rare. I am really bad at working in my sketchbook. I just rarely have the urge. So I thought it would be nice to spend some time doing that and share that with you alongside the footage. I do actually do a bit of sketchbooking when I'm back home, which I'll talk about more in the video. I'm gonna spend the rest of the video in voiceover mode, but I thought I would just quickly pop on and say hi before I get started. So I went back to Bristol, that's where I grew up and where my family still are, and luckily a lot of my close friends still are. And I also spent a bit of time in Cornwall and in Devon. Swiftly switching over to voice mode. I had a very relaxing and lovely Christmas. I did actually get a bit sick. Everyone was going down with a cold, so I got caught up in that. I spent a lot of time in my pajamas and just really made the most of having time off and being able to relax and being around my family. I did a lot of baking. We played lots of board games. I learnt to knit. Actually, my mum taught me to knit, so I spent the whole time I was back just knitting a really long scarf. I caught up on loads of British TV, and actually as a family we went to see the new Chicken Run movie. We had such a good time, it was such a laugh. It's such a beautiful film just to watch. It's so colourful and the animation is so cool. And as you can see, I also watched Wallace and Gromit because I just felt so inspired. I would say the one downer about going back home was that it rained every single day, and that is not being dramatic. It did rain every single day, and if it didn't, it was just completely grey skies, so gloomy. I saw the sun maybe once for an hour, but I think we did make the most of it. We persevered. We still went on lots of walks, which is one of my favorite things to do when I'm back home, is to go for a walk in the countryside and end it at a pub and reward yourself with a nice bev. And it was still great to get outside even if the weather was crap. So one of my goals when I was back home was that I wanted to try sketchbook journaling. I thought this would be a good challenge because I follow a lot of illustrators who do travel sketchbooking or journal sketchbooking, and I really love that way of recording moments in the day, and I thought it would be a nice way to remember my trip. I did really enjoy this task, and it was a bit of a challenge. I found it hard to not overthink it, just to kind of put down what I was just thinking at the time simple things, kind of just the activities that we did. I think a lot of it probably comes down to practice, but if you have any tips or ways that you like to sketchbook journal, I'd love to know them. It's definitely something I want to do more of. I did actually only do like 3 pages in my sketchbook when I was back home, but you know, that's better than nothing. So on this day, I decided to head out down to one of my favorite areas in Bristol and go to a cafe, work in my sketchbook. I visited this shop here, which is a really lovely independent bookstore and print shop. It was one of my favorites before I moved to Canada, so it was really nice to visit again, get some inspiration. I loved this book. I thought the illustrations were so cool. The cafe I went to was right next door. It's called Cafe Kino. It's another one I used to go to a lot because they always have Wi-Fi and it's just like a nice atmosphere to sit and draw. Another thing I never do is just go to a cafe to just draw. It kind of has always scared me a bit. I think part of that is the fear of messing up and the fact that there's also a time constraint. Something that I've realized from just working in my sketchbook the last month is that I put it off because I'm worried that it takes up too much time in my evening, but I'm trying to kind of shift that habit a bit, and I've been picking up my sketchbook and just drawing for like 15 minutes when I have the time, rather than like committing a whole chunk of time to it. And I think working in this cafe was a really good exercise for that, because I was drawing people in the cafe, which was also kind of scary, and I was really worried of messing up, but actually I realized it really doesn't matter. And it was fun to have to do it quickly and see the outcome, and I'm like really happy with the spread that I drew. So this huge warehouse was really cool to get to see. It's an old flower farm that hasn't been used for the last 20 years. My friend's cousin used to live right next to it, and they decided to purchase it and are re-establishing the farm and putting in a lot of allotments for other people to use, and also building places that you can stay.
A community project?
Yeah, for sure.
So like cheap, but affordable.
Yeah, something, yeah.
But people can grow food there. How do you imagine it? This looks absolutely old, but all the birds are around us. Oh.
And they showed us this bathtub, which is original to the previous owners, and it's still usable. It sounded like such a dreamy situation, having a tub, listening to the birds sing. They have all these amazing ideas and plans, and I used to landscape garden, so it was really exciting to get to see. I will link their Instagram in the description below so you can follow along on their journey. One of the days in Cornwall we spent visiting Falmouth, which was where me and my friends actually met at university, which must have been like 9 years ago, and I hadn't actually been back since then. So it was really lovely to visit and see kind of what pubs and shops were still there, and it was nice to see that a lot of new shops were around, supporting a lot of the local artists and students who go to the uni there. We just did a lot of window shopping, wandering around the town. I managed to get myself a gluten-free pasty, which was a goal of mine while I was there. What are you getting?
A passion fruit slice.
Just one?
Yeah. That's a crap one. Oh, come on. Foam mushroom.
Yeah, I think I do. It's not a picture.
Whoa! I'm feeling myself.
One of the main reasons for the trip was to meet my friend's baby that her and her partner had back in June. So the baby was 5 months old, and it was just such a special time to get to meet the baby and see how well they're doing, and get to visit a place that is so special to all of us, where we share so many memories. And it was just cool to see how far we have come, and I absolutely love watching all these clips back. It just brings me so much happiness. I think that's why I was so inspired to draw when I got back home. I was on Pinterest and I was looking at one of my saved boards, which is graphic art style illustrations. And I really loved the simplicity of capturing moments from the trip by selecting a few and putting them in separate boxes. I did that as a paid for our time spent in Falmouth. So I drew us at the pub, and I drew some of the streets and some of the pubs that we used to go to. And then I also was inspired by this graphic illustration style to draw some artwork from the walk we did in Trebarworth to Tintagel. It's funny, if you've seen any of my illustrations, you'll know that I love to use lots of colour, but when I work in my sketchbook, I still haven't built up the confidence to use any colour. I think this is because I'm a digital artist mainly, and so I'm used to being able to edit the color palette if I'm not happy with it, and that is, very low risk, which seems to be a common theme when it comes to my sketchbook. I seem to only use black pen. I think also maybe I just enjoy that it's such a departure from using so much color, and I kind of like the simplicity of it. I normally draw in pencil and then I go over in pen. A couple of these sketchbook pages I actually managed to do just straight away in pen. Again, just trying to loosen up, trying not to overthink it. And I just really like this style of drawing, adding in any details and textures I can, just using pen markings and highlighting certain areas. I really like this composition of having a sort of main image with little frames of other moments on the page. I think this could be a really cool risograph print, so I'm thinking I might try and develop these into color prints. Let me know what you think. Either way, I'm just happy that I spent time in my sketchbook, and even if I don't do anything with them, which kind of is the point of having a sketchbook, I feel really good about drawing and what I ended up coming up with. I'm just finishing editing this video, so I thought I would jump on and say bye and thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed all the clips from back home and all the little moments in my sketchbook. I am sorry that this came out so late. I also just always wonder if you mind that. It's nice to see things in real time, but work has been pretty busy and I've had to prioritize that, so I feel guilty when I don't get a video out sooner, especially if I filmed it. But hopefully you don't mind as much as I mind. I also want to say thank you to my Patreons. If you didn't know I was on Patreon, you could take a look and sign up if you like. There's two options. There's like a little recipe card, one where I illustrate a recipe card every month and I share a recipe that I like to make so that you can have like a collection. And there's another tier where it's more like a newsletter, so I post twice a month. That's kind of the goal, and you know, it's like a regular catch up and also a little insight into projects that I'm working on, and more of a deep dive into that. I am much better at long form, I think that's the right word, long form instead of short form content. And I just really prefer those platforms compared to like Instagram or something to just update you on everything and share more with you. And if I take a while getting out vlogs, you can always catch up with me on Patreon because that just does take up less of my time. So if you are signed up, thank you so much. It really does mean the world to have that support. And I'm gonna leave you with some clips from like one of the final days I was in the UK, and I was visiting my grandma in Devon, and the sun came out, and as you know, it was raining the entire time I was there. So I was like, we have to go to the beach, and it was around 4 p.m, so the sun was starting to go down, and it was beautiful. I almost cried. So I will leave you with that, and I will see you next time. I hope you all have a great day. And yeah, thank you for being here.